ladies. We are going live today on Tuesday, here talking on week 2 about vision. So I have to be honest, this is possibly one of my absolute favorite topics to teach as a life coach, to share just as a human being. I am so passionate about vision because I've seen how it's worked in my life, and I've helped other people create it so it works for them as well. And it's just a really effective tool to have at your command. So today we're going to kind of talk about the importance behind it, my beliefs around it, and how I can support you in creating a vision that is going to help you attract what it is that you desire. And then tomorrow, you're all invited. We're going to do our group call as part of my monthly vision board party. So at 7 p.m. tomorrow, I'll go live in my vision board party group. So hopefully, I think you guys are all in there, but I'll make sure before tomorrow that you're all within that Facebook group. And that'll go through the actual nuts and bolts and basic foundation of how to create a vision board, and helping you think about different areas of your life and what you might want to include. But today is more about the theory behind it. So I'm excited to have you here, and if you're watching on a replay later, definitely know that you're still getting the same energy, and then we'll all come together as a group tomorrow. So, vision. So my entire philosophy behind the Journey to Joy is ask, believe, receive. So it's basically tools for manifesting what it is that you desire. So whether that's a soulmate, a relationship, marriage and family, inner peace, confidence, self, awareness and ability to create better income at your job, a more desirable job, whatever it is that you're aiming towards. And we all go through different phases of what that might be, as we talked about before, based on what our soul craves to feel. And so again, with vision, it's also based on what it is that your soul wants to feel, but then allowing yourself to actually feel that before your outside circumstances have brought it forward for you. So visualization is basically imagination. So it's using your creative side, it's using that side of your brain that gets to think beyond reality and move in towards possibility. And every time I've created any success or forward movement in my life, I can 100% attest that it was based on visualizing first. So last week we created a foundation for you to be in a routine that you can create the time and space to use the tools that I'll introduce in the next several weeks. But this is the foundation for making it all possible. So being able to ask for what you want, visualize all of that. We'll kind of go deeper into that because that's a big piece as far as gaining clarity around what we want. But as you do that, it's only effective to know what you want if you truly can believe that it's possible for you, that you can see yourself achieving that, attaining that, doing that, being that, having that. Whatever it is, if you can imagine yourself feeling how it will feel to reach that point of success, it's already yours. It's already happened. The universe is already lining up connecting all the dots for you to bring it into realization. But just purely by you being able to visualize it, you've placed your order with the universe. You've made it happen. And then you can just wait without worry, knowing that it's coming towards you, as long as you can maintain in a believing manner that vision that you have for yourself. But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we have trouble with limiting beliefs, our self-worth, our confidence, our past stories of things that maybe didn't work out that affect our ability to believe and visualize what we want going forward. So there's a lot that can get in the way, but truly at the essence of it, if you can imagine it and see it within your mind, it's done. Just prepare to receive it. So I know that sounds quite simplified, and it is, but that's because everything that's good is actually simple. So the way that I'll kind of give you examples from my own life to share how it works, but then we'll go into the nitty-gritty of how to do it for yourself. Sound good? All right, so, and I am here today actually presenting from my son's nursery. So this is his crib here. And I just love the background here, and it was inspired by a Pinterest board pin of a similar background. And again, use Pinterest. Pinterest is an amazing tool, app for modern day vision board creation. So I invite you to utilize that. Oftentimes, even in the morning when I'm doing my morning routine with my lemon water and journaling and positive inspirational book reading, I will do a little bit of time on Pinterest just visualizing. And I've got different boards on there. Some are related to the success of my business. Some are related to the dream home that I'm creating for myself. And some are related to activities I want to enjoy with my family. There's all different things in there, but being able to imagine it makes it come true for you. So if Pinterest helps you do that, go for it, because you see it there and then you create it for yourself. So definitely use that if that's something that interests you. But basically the idea of visualization is getting into alignment with the energy of that which you desire. So everything in the world is energy. We are energy. Our surroundings are all responding to our energy. We're responding to the energy of things around us. It's all a give and take of energy. So by being able to visualize things that don't yet exist in your reality, you are getting yourself on the same energy vibration as what you're imagining. So if you're imagining love, if you're imagining appreciation, things that can get you there are being on that same energy vibration, which comes from gratitude, visualizing the feelings that you want to feel when you enjoy being with your family, or enjoy getting that promotion, enjoy being on vacation. So by attuning your body to even it just being an imaginary vision in your mind doesn't really know the difference between what's real and what's imagined when we're talking about the energy it creates in your body. So just purely by imagining those good, wonderful things, you're bringing that good, wonderful energy into your body. So I invite you every morning, and I know one of you talked about starting your morning with a smile on your face. That's doing exactly what I'm talking about by changing the energy vibration within your body by getting in alignment with that good vibe. So whether it's a smile or an imagination of something that will make you smile, it's doing the same chemistry and it works. So visualization is creativity, using your imagination, and it can be super simple. I mean, there's been times where I'm getting ready for a big event that's going to happen maybe next weekend or something, and I have an idea of what I want to feel like when I walk into that room. And that starts to give me an idea of what I'm wearing as that woman that feels that way as she walks into that room. Maybe it's a color, maybe it's a cut, maybe it's shoes, who knows? But as much as I start visualizing the way I want to feel when I walk into that room, I start to see more details. I start to see, maybe it's a bracelet that gives me that boost of sentimentality of some other event that was a huge success. Or, my wedding ring. It could be, little details that start adding to your vision. And the longer you have before a big event to visualize, the more opportunity you have to create it as you want it to take place, or how you want it to be the outcome that you desire. So, one of those things is, people plan their wedding for months, years, especially with COVID, years. And that gives them time to really play the video of, okay, people are going to walk into this room, they're going to see this, they're going to do this, then they're going to go guided over to this area and experience this. So you almost can play that video backwards as you're organizing any event. I do that often. I do that for my retreats and vacations and everything. Visualizing first so that I can create the experience that I want to feel or have others feel through my events. Visualization is basically if you are, in a meditative state, whether you've just woken up or you're just about to fall asleep. Maybe it's if you're a runner, maybe it's while you're doing dishes, something that doesn't take the other side of your brain, like solving math problems and dealing with something in the moment. But you can kind of do an activity that becomes meditative because you're not actually thinking about how to do it, you just do it naturally. That's when you can really get into some good visualization that has that powerful energy supporting it, because you can start to feel what you're imagining. So if you are imagining a state of inner bliss and total inner peace and just being at one with nature and yourself and joy, you can really start to just, even without an idea of what it looks like, just the words that you're using in that moment of visualization start to create that feeling within you. And so even if you're just starting with words, start there and visualize. Just close your eyes and think inner peace, joy, happiness. Whatever it is that you want to feel, say those in a manner that exudes that feeling within you. And it could be to yourself or out loud. Both have their purposes depending on where and what you're doing. But then the more you do it and give yourself time to check into that alignment at least once a day, the more often the better. The more often you can put your body into that vibration, the faster those things will come to you. So even if you're flat broke and feeling the stress of financial obligations and lack of income and whatever it is, if you just take a moment before you get out of bed or before you fall asleep or while you're doing dishes, just take a moment and feel abundance. What it feels like to have no worries about where the necessities and resources are coming from, but trusting that those that are meant for you are coming, and trusting that you have the wherewithal to provide for yourself, provide for your family, provide for your desires, to create a life that is enjoyable to you. And sometimes it's hard to get into a believing state. So there's two ways to go about that. You can either start with the words and try to get into a believing state, or you can start with the feeling that creates the words. However you go about it, accept that it might be difficult at first. It might feel awkward at first. It might be hard to believe at first. And that's why I was talking with one of you about affirmations and how powerful they can be. When I lived as a single woman with my own house, I had mirrored closet doors, and I had so many affirmations written on those mirrors. On the mirror when I brushed my teeth, I had my vision board on the wall in the bathroom where I brushed my teeth. I was fully into this with word affirmations and visual reminders with vision boards, drawings, doodles, whatever, but it works. So let me tell you a quick story about how well and how quickly it can work. One of the more recent ones that I did was right when I moved in with my now husband. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life as far as a career. I had just sold my portion of a business that I no longer felt passionate about, and did a vision board that was kind of all over the place. I could tell that I was attracted to things that were creative. I could tell that I wanted to create a sense of place that expressed my self-identity and my creativity and brought community together. I didn't know if it was a bakery, a bookstore, what it was. And from creating that vision board in August of that year, by October, I had landed the real estate to do it and got the keys. And by November, I opened my own art gallery in the middle of Midtown, the heart of Sacramento. And by the end of that year, was voted the A-list best art gallery of Sacramento. So we're talking a matter of very short time. And I attribute it completely, entirely all to visualization. Just getting in touch with what do I want to feel. So I didn't know it was an art gallery. I just knew I wanted to create a place where people could walk in and feel an experience that I wanted to create for them. I knew I wanted to be creative. I knew I wanted to dress a certain way and have fun hosting events and that type of thing. So just get in touch with what you know. And sometimes it's easy to discover what we want by knowing what we don't want. If you're done with a relationship, write down the things that you didn't like about it, and then fold that paper in half and write the opposite. And that'll give you a starting point for what you do want. And so then you can start feeling the feelings of what you do want. And then you can create your vision board based on those ideals. So, but going back to more examples of how this works. So visualization, I knew, I was talking to one of you just yesterday about how powerful of a manifester we can be. Even when we don't quite know what we're creating. I knew from like a very young age as a young girl that I was excited to eventually be autonomous enough and old enough to have my own apartment in a big city and live on my own as a woman in a big, thriving city, creating a life for myself. And I doodled that on my first vision board, which, by the way, I brought samples. So vision boards, you can have all of these, cutouts from magazines. I've asked you all to bring supplies to tomorrow's meeting. So glue stick, masking tape, scissors, highlighters. By the way, these are erasable highlighters. Love these, highly recommend them. Discovered that as an art consultant working on blueprints from architects, and adding the artwork in, erasing is wonderful. But if you don't have any of those supplies, I still invite you to come to the group vision board party tomorrow night and just bring a piece of paper and a pen, because my first vision board was done as a Girl Scout at a very young age, and it was literally doodles on a piece of paper. And I remember putting a few skyscrapers and the Statue of Liberty with an arrow to one of the skyscrapers that I live here. A little doodle of a rolled up diploma. a doodle of the earth and, arrows around it that I travel around the world. So doodles of 2 rings together that eventually I wanted to get married. So all of those I drew just pen on paper, stick figures, nothing fancy, at a very young age in Girl Scouts as a young girl. And my mom laminated it and posted it on my dresser in my bedroom. And in my 20s, pretty much everything I put on there that was my life big goals vision, I had already accomplished. So I do believe in this. It's extremely powerful because once you identify what that desire is, and then create a visual for yourself just as a reminder that you've already placed the order, it's happening. The dots do start to connect. You start to meet amazing serendipitous events that bring the right people into your world, the right mentors and education into your world to make even the craziest impossible dreams become possible. Other ideas of when I visualized are knowing that I wanted to have a certain, comfort level as far as my home, things not falling apart, just the things that you go through as a 20-something woman and trying to survive on your own. I remember putting sprinklers on one of my vision boards because I just really wished that I had a yard that was lush green, that even if I forgot about it or went on vacation would stay that way, and somehow my sprinklers didn't work. And so putting things that are totally practical on your vision board, putting things that are totally crazy. I put places on there that I don't even know where on a globe they are, but something in my heart, it struck a chord that I want to go there. And I've done that in the past, and thanks to one of you, ended up in Belize on a yoga retreat that I didn't even know that's where Mayan ruins were, but those touched something within me that I always knew I was going to be standing in front of temples like that, but I didn't know where in the world I needed to go to do that. But again, just by visualizing what you want to feel, the right opportunities present themselves. So visualization is the key between ask, believe, receive. It's the believe part. So if some people say they need to see something to believe it, I get that. So part of that is seeing it in your mind, though. You don't need to see it out in the world. Your body will align itself with the energy of just seeing it in your mind. So every morning lately, I wake up and imagine myself with the studio that I want as my workspace, and the natural light coming into that space and the view that I have out the window. But it changes. A few months ago, it was my vision of being, the family environment that I wanted, not knowing who this little human was going to become once he had a personality. So it's all go through phases. Your vision will change. That's why I host a monthly vision board party, is because I invite people to update their vision as often as necessary throughout the year. I started this years ago, hosting vision board parties just around January at the start of a year for your vision for that new year. And now I do it monthly, partly because the pandemic made online such a appealing option, but also because I have so many women that like to check back in with where they're headed and what their goals are. So we will have our vision board party tomorrow at 7 p.m. and they will likely be a couple other gals from my main Facebook group that are not in this group. So if you feel comfortable, they're all on the same kind of energy, vibe, wavelength. They're just not officially in this group, but many of them I've coached in the past. So if they do decide to join, I highly encourage you to engage with them as if they were part of this group, because they are of the same energy. But if there's anything that comes up that you don't feel comfortable addressing in that group forum, I'm always available. You can reach out to me. But tomorrow's vision board party will count as our group call, simply because I don't want to add an additional meeting onto your busy schedules. But I would love for you to attend this vision board party, because it's essentially going to cover everything that I feel is most important about the topic this week. So hopefully you can join then. I'll send the link to the group if you're not already a member, and it'll be just like in our group, where it's a meeting room within the Facebook group called Kathy's Vision Board Party. So I will see you there. And then immediately following that, I have the first of one of your one-on-one calls tomorrow night. So I'm very excited about that. If you haven't already scheduled yours for October, please do. I ask that you do it, if you're not currently menstruating, do it sometime around the full moon, unless you do know that there's another time of month that you are most intuitive, introspective, and creative, which if you are menstruating typically tends to be around the time that you're bleeding. So I invite everyone to try and schedule their one-on-ones each month through this program around that time of month, so that we can really tap into that energy of being so introspective and intuitive and creative, to create this version of your life that fills you with so much joy. So I'm excited for the one I have tomorrow night. I think at least 3 of you have scheduled your calls, but I think there's still a couple that need to get on my calendar for the month of October. So please do that. I'll show you before we go just one example of one of my more recent vision boards, just to give you an idea. I do not create this in an hour. This is a couple days of clipping images from a variety of magazines, and then lately I've been doing my vision board. I don't know if you're familiar with feng shui, but and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, because I do most of my learning by reading. But the Bagua map has different areas that you can arrange your house according to those, but I have started arranging my vision boards based on that. So I cover the 9 areas of life based on feng shui in the outline of my vision boards. You don't have to get that crazy with it. You can just clip a few images on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, but make sure it's something that speaks to you, that conveys the energy of what you're looking to create. So at this time, it was while I was pregnant, so it was a lot about having a natural and easy birth, enjoying the future with my child that I had not yet met, eating healthy, still focusing on my career and my self-care, all of that incorporated into one board. The one I created more recently is very prominently career and ambition focused. So again, that's why I do them monthly, is because we change in different phases what we're focused on. If there's a magazine that speaks to what you are currently focused on, go ahead and use that. But I've done them from magazines that my husband was no longer using, that were construction related, and still managed to get my feminine, vision onto my board through those. So we'll be clipping words and images. If you already have magazines, start clipping now, because it can take a while just to feel like you have enough to start creating the board. So go ahead and start collecting images, whether it's Google, things that you want, the type of car you want, the places you want to travel to. Feel free to Google and print images, or start a Pinterest board, whatever works for you. And we will start creating together tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And I'm trying to think if there's anything I didn't cover before I let you go, but I am so excited to share this with you guys. This is absolutely kind of at the heart of my philosophy on life is to create a mental image of that which you desire to have in reality. And it happens. It's crazy how it happens, but it absolutely does. And for powerful manifestors, which I know some of you already are, sometimes the hardest part is deciding what to create for ourselves. So we'll dive more into that this week with our Facebook posts, just to give you some journal prompts to think through that as well. I love you, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and I will see you tomorrow.